Why look out the window when you could be watching a better movie? Yeah.
Burn.
Yeah. So this is the woman at the window, I think is what it's called. Um
I remember seeing the trailer for this in the theater before pandemic, and then I
'80s
guess
show. Yeah.
it was shelved for a few years, probably because of the Disney Fox merger.
I think it was supposed to come out last year, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I am a little curious how it ended up on Netflix, but that's where it's being distributed now.
Netflix put a lot of movies that were supposed to go into theaters, and I guess the studios just didn't care enough about them to get them full theatrical release. That's how what Mitchell's versus the Machines came out not too long ago for the same reason. I want to say,
Hmm.
uh, not Mitchell's. You know what I'm trying to say. Oh God, it's gonna bug me now. The animated one that came out a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I I know what you're talking about, but I didn't care enough to pay attention to the title.
It's actually a really good movie. You should watch it. Uh,
Okay.
the Mitchells versus Machines. I was close.
Okay.
Actually, I got it right. But anyway, so but yeah, from what I understand, so we went through a lot of kind of development hell, and it fucking shows. Um, so I have a feeling I am getting the vibe you like this more than I did.
It had a stronger script than Monday did.
Apples and oranges, they're kind of different things. And both have the same problem of who the fuck talks like this. Um,
Well, most of the characters in this one behaved more like adults than the two leads in the last movie you and I talked about.
did they really though? Like, I feel like that's up for debate because even if they don't talk more like adults, they don't act like real people all the same. I mean, especially like the lady detective in particular, starts saying shit. I'm like, why the fuck would you say that? Why would anyone say that? Even if that's what
The
you thought, why would you just tell that to them? Why
the
would you
female
do that?
detective did bother me. Thankfully, she's not on screen for very long stints, but she was extremely insensitive.
There's a lot of people here that just don't feel like they talk like real people. This movie wants to be Alfred Hitchcock and John Carpenter so goddamn bad,
I did pick up on those vibes, yes,
and it's to the point where it's
especially with
distracting.
the use of the zoom in lens on her fancy camera when Amy Adams's character pulls that out to spy across the street.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like Rear Window vibes here. There's a lot of like Alfred Hitchcock style bloodsheds and like plays with knives and stuff like that. The point where it's honestly kind of distracting. Joe Wright, the director of this, who also directed Pride and Prejudice, which is kind of a weird jumping off point.
The 2005 one.
Yep, the 2005 one.
That's one of my favorites.
I like it. I like it fine. I've seen it. I like it fine. Not my genre.
It's
But
beautiful cinematography.
oh yeah, it's gorgeous. But it's one of those cases where like he's clearly out of his wheelhouse. He doesn't really know how to, doesn't really know how to direct these movies, and he's so focused so much on giving these homages to classic 50s, 60s horror styles that it doesn't really stand apart or do what it wants to do in this movie. And it feels like it's style over substance. Either wants to be a reflection of what it means to be an extremely socially anxious person, shut up in this house trying to solve a murder, or it wants to be a campy 80s thriller. But it can't be both, and it's trying to be both, and those like things just clash actively against each other. Especially at the end, like when they actually reveal, like they give the big reveal towards the end. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Did you see that twist coming though?
I mean, I didn't see it coming, but I think it was good. Probably because they picked the worst possible outcome, and the way it was done was so stupid. Sorry, I'm shitting all over this movie. What did you think?
I clearly liked it much more than you did.
Clearly. It's okay. You're allowed to disagree with me. Go ahead.
Well, I honestly am a little surprised. I thought you would like this. You ordinarily like bottled mysteries.
There has to be a way to do them right. I just felt like this was not done right, and it wasn't very compelling to me. I figured all because of the last twist pretty much immediately.
There were a few twists that I I didn't see coming, including the big reveal at the end. Um, I thought Amy Adams's character, while in parts maybe a little hard to follow what was going on, she has enough dedication and charisma to bring to the role that I was rooting for her, even when she was at her lowest point in the story. And admittedly, she was doing things like drinking that she knew that she shouldn't do. For a little context, she's an agoraphobic shut-in who is taking a lot of different medications with various dangerous side effects, and she's a child psychologist who is not supposed to mix alcohol with medications. Anybody who has had prescription medications on a regular basis knows that, because they're both hard on your liver. But she is going through bottles and bottles of wine and brandy and all kinds of stuff. So she does do that ill-advised behavior, but I like a good mystery, and like I said, I didn't see the two twists coming, and because I was rooting for her character, I honestly thought that it was a little bit tragic. And the actor who is involved in the reveal at the end was kind of okay. I'll grant you that he was kind of hamming it up, and it was a bit rushed, but there was at least one sequence towards the end that had me kind of doing this, because I didn't quite see that coming.
Maybe that's really different. I did not like this character.
You didn't like Amy Adams's character at all?
I like her performance. I don't like the character.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think it got to the point where agoraphobia and social shut-in anxiety is a real thing, and I have no issue with definitely that topic. And if you make a thriller out of it, cool. But again, it has such a mesh of tones, and she becomes so insufferable and overwhelming, over the top, and at times the point where it just gets like, oh my god, have a point. And I think this is a movie that feels obsessed with itself in a lot of ways, and it's kind of like, ooh, look at this cool visual element we're doing. Ooh, look, we're being trippy. Look, here's like a Hitchcock callback with like blood spatters and all these cool camera angles, that it forgets to have a really compelling story to it.
I will say that the opening shot confused me and made me kind of dizzy. I did this at one point because it was making me dizzy.
Yeah.
So that was an, shall we say, interesting opening shot choice.
Yeah. So for further context, before we get into spoiler territory, a lot of my issues I can't talk about without going into spoilers. So basically, the crux of the movie, which takes about 45 minutes to actually get to, is in an hour and 45-minute movie, is that while Amy is being the shut-in person, she doesn't want to go outside. She has conversations with her husband David, who they're separated, but they still talk
every day.
Which, if you don't know where that's going from the first frame, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, sorry.
No.
I redacted.
Thank you. That was one of the twists that I didn't quite see coming.
See, I figured, I immediately figured it out, because again, I don't know why. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, that's probably what it is, and I was right. Not to be smug, but I recognize I'm coming off more than a little smug. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. So meanwhile, she tries to go out one night because on Halloween, these kids decide to egg the fuck out of her house, which they make it seem like it's a fucking war zone for some reason.
Because her reactions are heightened because she's feeling attacked.
I get it, but it felt cartoonishly over the top to me.
Well, what I didn't like about that was how sociopathic they were about it. They were just going, get her.
Yeah, I know. That was like, it's like, does she live in the area where the fucking purge happens? Like, what the fuck is with this area?
Exactly.
And then she she tries to open the door, but she passes out, and she's found by this person, this woman who's played by oh, help me out here, sorry, you're better with this.
I I didn't recognize that.
Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore. Um,
Really?
Pretty sure.
I've never seen her with blonde hair before.
Now I'm paranoid. I'm gonna look it up really quick.
I'm always used to seeing her with red hair.
Yeah, that was Julianne Moore.
Wow, she looks way different as a blonde.
All right. That sounded weird, kind of creepy. But anyway, moving on.
Sorry.
Not your fault. That's all on me. Who claims to be the new wife of the neighbors who moved across the street. Who she met the son earlier that day, or like
actually, this is one thing that I caught in the movie.
Well, not spoilers yet. Not spoilers
straight away. If you pay attention to the lines in this scene, Amy Adams's character says, "You're Jane Russell, right?"
No spoilers. We'll get to the spoilers. You'll have your chance. But like I'm trying to go around it first, then we'll go into we can talk about the whole goddamn thing.
Okay, speed it up a little.
Jeez, Sarah. Jesus. All right, fine. Moving on. So basically, they meet, they have a talk, and then she continues to spy in the house across the street. Gary Oldman's the husband. He's a bastard. She witnesses him killing her lady friend, and then they basically, everyone says, "Oh no, that wasn't really the wife. This is really the wife." And they're questioning whether or not this actually happened, or she just fucking crazy. And that is the crux of the movie. Okay. So from this point on, we'll go into spoiler territories. I don't like this movie. The more I talk about, the angrier I get. So not on my list. Sarah, you, what are your final thoughts on before we move on to spoilers?
Like I said, I clearly liked it more than you do. If I dissect it, I can find issues with it, but considering the last movie we talked about, Monday, set a pretty low bar. I liked Monday. I found this comparatively refreshing by there being more of a story and than that.
Fair. Okay, so take that as you will. Take that as you will. Make your own decisions. You're under no obligation to agree with either one of us. So,
exactly.
Yep. So with that being said, let's go into this. So now you can make your point. Proceed.
The scene where Julianne Moore's character comes in, Amy Adams says, "You're Jane Russell, right?" Now, if you pay attention to the lines, that character never answers any of Amy Adams's questions. She says, "What makes you say that?" She completely evades, full of red herrings, while they drink more alcohol. They talk, but Julianne Moore's character doesn't confirm anything. So I knew from the lines said in that scene, and from remembering seeing the trailer in theaters a few years ago, that that character was not Jane Russell. So I did see that spoiler coming.
Yeah.
Pretty much immediately.
The one I figured out right away was, of course, the real, the husband's been dead the whole time. The minute I saw him talking on their phone, you don't actually see a face. So oh, he's dead. Because again, I knew it was going for that kind of subversion expectations thriller movie, so I just kind of went into that mindset, which is why I kind of predicted that coming right away.
You mean Amy Adams' husband?
Yeah, Amy Adams' husband, not Gary Oldman.
Okay.
Who, quite frankly, I wish was more Gary Oldman in this movie than he is.
He plays a very unlikable character. I actually did not miss his presence on screen that much.
But like I said, it's Gary Oldman. Let him be Gary Oldman. That's all I want when I see Gary Oldman on the screen. It's like having Michael Shannon, not have him yell at somebody. It's just disappointing. It's not what I pay. When I go see a Gary Oldman movie, I want him to chew the fucking scenery. That's what I pay for. Granted, not that I paid for this, but that's besides the point. Anyway, so and like that, and with like the minute fucking walkers from Falcon and Winter Soldier, forget the actor's real
Anthony
name.
Mackie.
No. The Tenant.
Oh, yeah, that.
Who is? I'm gonna look it up. Wyatt Russell. That's what it is.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's son with the punchable face.
Yes, with a very punchable face. But the minute he's like, she says like later, she goes into his room, she finds one of the earrings that the woman had, like Julianne Moore's character had, and he confronts her on it. It's like, oh, that was from like woman I was seeing called Catherine. It's like, okay, so that point I was like, oh, so it's Catherine then. Like he's telling the truth. Okay, cool. That's a mystery solved. The only one I didn't really see coming was the reveal that was actually Ethan, the son, the whole time. And I was immediately from that movie, like any like reserves I had about the movie was just gone over. I was out of it. I was like, no, fuck you. Like that's where the movie just completely lost me. I
did feel like his evil villain monologue or explanation was kind of rushed, forced a bit.
It's not just that it was rushed and forced, it's that it was just fucking dumb. It was just poorly written, overacted, and the kid's not a good actor.
No, he's kind of unnatural and hammy.
So he just sounds like a reject Dexter villain, and he just kind of tripping around, like trying so fucking hard to be creepy. Like it's trying so hard to be like Wes Craven Scream, and it's just not fucking working. And the monologue makes no sense. Right at the bat, he has this big fuck off knife, wearing no gloves, by the way. And I'm gonna make a big point of this right away because this is a movie that thinks it's so much smarter than it is. Because at one point it's like they're gonna know that you killed him. It's like, why? It's your house, it's your knife. And then he takes his bare fucking hand and leans it against the fucking post next to him.
And it's established early on that...
No glove! No fucking glove! And then proceeds to start touching fucking everything in the room. Like, you are the dumbest serial killer ever. Is this what
he's new to it.
Still.
He hasn't established his pattern yet.
And that's kind of my point, though, because like it's playing this up like, oh, they might actually believe that she's the one that kills it. Why? All they gotta do is like look for fingerprints. They're fucking everywhere. Like,
well, she did just record a suicide note video.
But that didn't include. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna stab Wyatt downstairs before I come back up here. So like I feel like it's kind of a big omission. That would kind of preclude the evidence there. I don't know. And also like time of death would be a thing. They could like he died after she did. That's a little weird. So those are kind of things that just again don't track logically in this movie that's trying to be like a smart thriller and it's just not working. So at that point, any suspension of disbelief I have is just gone. Like I'm not invested anymore. Like I don't care. And I know I'm being really angry. I know you liked it. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't like it for my reasons. But this is just me venting my frustration. So.
Well, like I said, the bar for me was already set pretty low. I'm not saying that this is an overly intelligent thriller. I'm just saying that there were moments in it that thrilled me.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to be perfectly clear on that fact. I guess what's frustrating to me is like, yes, I do like bottle mystery movies, and I do think you can do them really well. But I don't like ones that are so goddamn full of themselves. Because in my opinion, there's nothing more obnoxious and annoying than a pretentious mystery writer. Because
I think the credits said this is based on a book or a novella or something.
I don't know. Either way, like if it's anything like this, I'm never reading the book.
Well, yeah, because it's already spoiled for us.
Well, that too. But even that, like even if you know the ending, you can still like find like enjoyment in the journey. Like I'll still rewatch Hateful Eight every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes to the fact that like this is like Joe Wright is not a bad director. He's made some good stuff in the past, but this is clearly a case where he's out of his wheelhouse and he put more interest into style than he did substance, to the point where it's really distracting and really annoying, and it gives us this unearned aura of not necessarily superiority, but cleverness that doesn't feel earned to me.
That's fair.
Like, because it's using these Alfred Hitchcock tropes and is like using like these blood splatters and like dramatic things, like there's a handprint on the wall on the window, but it's not actually in front of us, it's across the street, which like stuff like that just comes off to me as like, okay, cute, very cute, but this doesn't really add anything to the story. This isn't actually building compelling drama. This isn't building compelling characters. And that's what you need for a good story. Now, if you want to lean into like 80s camp, then fucking go for it. Like, do all this silly stuff. Do all this silly tropes. You can have all that stuff on there, but then don't also try to be a serious thriller about a woman with massive anxiety disorder. Like, it's like you can have one or the other, but you can't have both.
I see what you're saying. From that point of view, I can concede that the story is a bit unfocused.
So, like, if it was all just about a woman with massive anxiety disorder that happened to cite some rear window ideas, then cool, that'd be fine. Like, that is a perfectly fine concept. I'm all for it, but take it seriously. Or like actually write these characters seriously, but don't do that and throw deliberate 80s cheese on there, because those elements just don't mesh. And it's maybe
there is one.
Okay.
Sorry, there is one inconsistency that, in hindsight, bothers me a little bit. So, the big reveal at the end when it turns out that the Ethan, the teenage son, is a killer, and he's been at Amy Adams's character's apartment the whole time, like all week. So when we first meet him at the beginning, he says point blankly that he's allergic to cats.
Yeah, I kind of see him come and go whenever the plot demands it.
Exactly. Amy Adams has a beautiful long-haired white cat named Punch. And we only, so he says at the end, "Oh, I've been here all week."
Okay.
Then why do we only hear him sneeze?
Yeah.
Once when Amy Adams's back is turned, when she's getting her suicide powder ready.
Because they needed to get the big reveal. That's fucking why.
Yeah. So that is one inconsistency that that did kind of take away from the oomph for me.
Yeah, for me, I already mentioned kind of what's bothering me already, so I'm not going to regurgitate that point, but it's more just, see, I love again, if you want to play a perfect movie that balances like more serious elements with like pure campy cheese, Knives Out, fantastic example.
Oh yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, like it's a fantastic movie, perfect amount of like cheese and genuine mystery. You're actually left guessing what's going on. There's actually subversion expectation. It's written by somebody competent, and it's like those are all elements like you can make that style of story work, but you have to decide what story you're actually telling. Because any wannabe college like film student can throw a bunch of like Alfred Hitchcock homages in your movie. But it takes genuine effort, like genuine talent to make those elements work. Just having them there doesn't automatically elevate your material.
So, well, I enjoyed this clearly more than you did. I do acknowledge that this film has a lot of unfocused, unfulfilled potential that it kind of squandered in some of its choices.
And it's like if it just focused on having a more narrow focused storytelling.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to do everything in the kitchen sink with these tropes and stylistic choices. If it wasn't trying to be everything in like this mystery thriller, then it could have been, if it picked one thing, it could have been good. But it doesn't, and it's a fucking mess. Like the scene that encapsulates for me is the second scene when the cops show up to her house. By the way, everyone just lets himself into this house. Get better keys.
Which
is
Ethan,
pointed out in the end.
Points out at the end. Oh, because your keys are so secure and you're so sober.
Yeah, right. So I feel like it's kind of weird that everyone just kind of lets themselves into her house, including the police, when she's clearly just passed out in that particular moment. It's like, that seems kind of rude. And not only that, like
breaking an entry, dare I say?
I know, right? Wouldn't the cops ever commit crimes though?
Mm,
That's commentary from the other day.
hmm
But anywho, so and they just come in there and they just immediately just start like talking like fuck the fucking Men in Black or the two FBI agents from Die Hard. Like Johnson and Johnson, no relation. And like the woman just immediately jumps down this woman's throat and just going like, I don't think you saw what you think you saw. Like maybe you post for that picture. I don't know. It's like maybe you like want to look sleepy. He's like, okay.
She's just
That.
very rude, and she's just there to gaslight the main character and
Gaslight,
place.
and accuse, in general,
Yeah.
be just a very shitty cop. Because
Yes.
right off the bat, even if you thought that, even if that's what you suspected,
It's not professional to interject your unfounded suspicions into a case and in front of a witness like that.
Well, I mean that too. But I was gonna say like, why would you announce that in general? Why would you not just keep that there in your thinker brain? You, Mr. Fancy Pantsy Detective, where you can go back and then investigate that claim. You know, basic logic, as opposed to if that was what's happening, alert them going like, oh, I need to be more careful. Suddenly you give them the idea, and then they get smarter, more clever, and they hide it better. That's where my mind took it. But you're also correct.
She was just very rude and insensitive, and I was glad whenever she was not on screen.
And then that goes in the category of just I just don't feel like anyone here talks like a fucking person. And I like that was like prime suspect. And like Anthony Mackie too also has to say like what we're doing is foolish. So, like I have never heard anyone use the term foolish in a serious context in a sentence ever. The only time I ever heard the word foolish is by movie villains. You foolish fool, you fool. Like you don't see it like in a serious like a serious like marriage dispute. Maybe by a judge if you're lucky, but not by your fucking soon-to-be ex-husband. So like shit like that just took me out of it, and it goes back to just, I just don't feel like the writing is up to snuff for the ideal like movie this thing clearly wants to be.
No, it's not an ideal. It in my opinion, it's a slightly higher bar than Monday, and in terms of the characters.
I mean, granted, they're very different movies, so it's kind of like between apples and oranges a little bit. But I get your point.
So
I mean, take it what you will. The more I talk about it, the more like, oh man, I really fucking hated this movie.
I'm a little surprised, but I see your points.
I apologize if I jumped down your throat a little bit.
It's okay, thank you.
But you did pose with a wine glass. You may have pretending to be asleep. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take you in. Because I'm a detective lady. I know things. Because I have my thinker brain.
I will admit I really didn't like that detective lady character.
I know all my ABCs. I can say them in order. A, C, B. Wait, no. A, B.
Z, Y, X, W, T, U, V.
Yes. Anyway, so I don't know. I really don't have a lot else to say about this movie. Like, if you want to watch something like that's trying to go for what this is going for, except actually good, like go watch Knives Out, Hateful Eight, fucking Clue. Like go watch Clue.
Yeah, I think that's on Amazon Prime right now.
It is indeed. I watched it for the first time recently. Fucking loved it.
It's a classic.
Oh yeah, that is my shit. Like if it was more like leaning to that territory, I would have probably like given this movie a lot more passes. But it needed to pick a fucking tone.
It did struggle with that. It had potential, and it kind of squandered it by splitting its focus. But
a better villain, a much better villain.
Yes, there are aspects of it that I enjoyed, clearly more than you did. But I'm not gonna give this a glowing recommendation. Just kind of campy mystery that's maybe worth one watch. If
I also
if
have
if that's your jam.
I also have to put like a little bit of harshness on the movie for putting the character who is like clearly supposed to be on the spectrum and making him the villain. Not a good look.
No.
But that's a more minor point. Well, yes and no. But it's more like Gary Oldman was right fucking there. He was right there. He was born for this shit. Let him monologue. Let him be crazy. That's why you hire Gary Oldman. But no, gotta go with the untalented kid. Cause some
Yeah.
just fucking mad. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Nomi Muha are probably gonna go watch Army of the Dead. We were supposed to watch it last weekend, but we got caught up on things and didn't get around finishing it. So we're gonna watch Army of the Dead and then whatever else this week. There's a bunch of shit.
Settle in. I've heard Army of the Dead is like an hour 45 or 2 hours 45.
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Snyder movie. I expect nothing less. At least it's not him using fucking superheroes, honestly. It makes me want to give it more of a chance. So, like, as long as he's not doing anything more that I have to argue bitterly about with people online, that's all I want right now. If he's doing zombies, cool. I'm okay with that. But don't give me his pretentious. Talk about pretentiousness. Don't talk to me his pretentious idea about superheroes. Anyway, I'm dangerously close to another TED Talk. I'm going to stop where I'm ahead. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.